Hi, everybody. Welcome to Casual Fridays with Punching Back with George Papadopoulos. Due to growing demand of this podcast, we decided to host 2 episodes per week, but during the latter part of the week, we're going to be hosting our Casual Friday episode. And what we're really going to be looking into is we're really going to be looking at a lot of social issues, a little less serious stuff. Mondays are primarily going to be for the serious political questions that are affecting the country. And anything throughout the week that I think is very interesting, that caught my attention, that I think you guys would all like, I think I'm going to look into that. And we're going to be answering a lot of fan questions. It's going to be more of a conversation with my producer and some other guests that we're going to be hosting on Fridays. So it's going to be really interesting. So really hope you like it. And we're going to be starting today with...
So yeah, let's talk about, there was a video of Elizabeth Warren kind of, she didn't know that she was on film, and there was a concerned citizen just asking her a question about how her policy would affect him.
Yeah, this really shocked me, and I think it became like a viral video that really highlights how, I guess, I don't know how else to really say it except just how unsympathetic and tone deaf Elizabeth Warren has become, or maybe has always been. Except she was caught on this hot mic here in this discussion with I assume is just a regular father and voter who had a concern about what would happen to the student debt that he has already paid off for his daughter. So let's see how Elizabeth Warren, the genius, addressed this father regarding a very, very important concern that goes to the heart of her policy of eradicating student debt. Let's hear what she had to say.
I'm having her time.
Yep. I just want to ask one question. My daughter's getting out of school. I've saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back?
Of course not.
So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
No, it's not anybody got screwed. When we
Of
started,
course we did. My buddy had fun, bought a car, went on vacations. I saved my money. He made more than I did. But I worked a double shift, worked extra. My daughter's worksheet is 10. So you're laughing. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. We did the right thing, and we get screwed.
I appreciate
That's
it.
all right.
As this father was, the question the father basically wanted to ask and have addressed is, I did the right thing for my daughter. I worked a double shift for my daughter. I did the right thing while my friends and associates were vacationing and buying cars and second homes and not worrying about the student debt of their daughter or son, while I did, and I paid it off. So what's going to happen to people like me who did the right thing, saved pennies, worked double shifts, second jobs, third jobs to pay off student debt? Am I going to get a refund? And she really, shockingly, in a very cold manner, said absolutely not. Basically saying that, people like you are going to be left behind. And this guy, he seemed like a very good father, just basically said thank you and just walked away. And I think this might actually be the beginning of the end of Elizabeth Warren's campaign. I think just like the Tulsi Gabbard comments about Kamala Harris during one of the debates about her record on prosecuting minorities and putting people to prison for, nonviolent drug charges and crimes, really put the dagger in Kamala Harris. I think this video here is the beginning of the end of Elizabeth Warren. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows that Warren really doesn't have an answer to direct criticisms and direct, questions about how her policy is going to affect a huge majority of Americans. I mean, the left likes to say, oh, this is just like, when we introduced Social Security or another social program to the United States, but it's not, because they're actually going to, reward or forgive the financial burdens of people who, for whatever reason, haven't paid their debt. And the people who did pay their debt get kind of lost in the shuffle, and it's just, no one really cares about them. So she doesn't understand how it's just going to infuriate a huge percentage of Americans who, by and large, Americans want to operate on a fair playing field. They just want to be treated fairly, and this kind of completely ignores that.
Definitely. And I mean, I had student debt, and I worked hard to pay it off, just like probably you, and the majority of the people who went to college have. I mean, university is a very expensive commitment in this country. It's not for free.
Right.
You're going to be paying minimum, $5,000 a year for 4 years just to go to university, and then if you go to the elite universities, you're going to be paying over $60,000 a year. So unless you have a rich mom and dad or a family that's willing to pay for it, which probably the majority of people don't, you're going to be like this very good father who is going to take out possibly a second mortgage. He's going to work a second job. He's going to save his money, and while his associates and friends are going to go out and buy cars and vacation and not care about debt, and he is the forgotten man. And I mean, that really represents what I was talking about, that Americans are tired of the political establishment, the political elite, and feeling left behind. They want to feel that somebody represents them, can address them personally, and feel their concerns. And what I just saw here, I mean, that was almost like a sociopath addressing this individual.
Right.
It was pretty scary.
Yeah, she goes, "Of course not. Am I going to get a refund? Of course not." Like, it's almost like she was like.
But you have to understand, like, this is like a key part of her policies that she's running on, that and Medicare for all and open borders. So no one really knows how they're going to pay for this. I mean, they talk about raising taxes and this wealth tax, and no one understands how that's even going to work. Other people like Bernie Sanders, who I think is a more, genuine person. He actually probably cares more about people than Warren. He still doesn't know how he's going to pay for his policies either. So I think, this doesn't look good for the Democrats. I mean, we're going into the primaries right now. The Iowa primaries coming up. This just doesn't look good. I mean, we already talked about Biden. I mean, my God.
Yeah, he's dropping quickly.
This video is really going to hurt Warren because, as you know, things go viral very quick. Mm-hmm. And the way social media operates today, you make one small mistake like that, 5 million people are going to watch it in 48 hours. So, and another thing that's catching, I think, the attention of the nation is, who are the people on the debate stage for the Democrats? A bunch of billionaires and millionaires. I don't even think there are any minorities left on the debate stage.
Right.
And they keep talking about, or they're polling at like 0%. And people keep talking about the Democratic Party as a party of inclusiveness. I don't see inclusiveness on that stage.
No.
I mean, I have two eyes and I don't see it.
Right.
And I don't know. I really don't know what the Democratic Party stands for today. I mean, at least Donald Trump has blown up the Republican Party and he represents a different party. So you actually know what it stands for, whether you agree or you don't. I don't know what this party stands for at this point, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, second funny, first that wasn't funny, but the second I thought was funny was the news about Bezos. What'd you think about his claim that the Saudi king wanted to hack his phone and leak lewd and lascivious photos of him to the National Enquirer, and then come up with this conspiracy theory? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I think Bezos is really stretching here. I don't think the Saudi king. I mean, do you want to say like what? Basically, Bezos was on a group chat, or he was on WhatsApp chat with the king of Saudi Arabia, and apparently the story goes, according to his security people or whomever, the Saudi Arabian king sent him a file or a video of some sort, and that produced malware on his phone, which was able to hack his phone and send, sensitive material to people that he doesn't want to have it. And I think what Bezos is saying now is that's how the National Enquirer maybe ended up with some risque photos of him. But, I think and I think the Wall Street Journal is recently reporting the same thing, is that Bezos' girlfriend's brother, who happens to be a fan of President Trump, got the text messages and the photos from Bezos somehow and then sold them to the National Enquirer. So there's this whole gossip or this circle of mystery around these photos of Bezos. I
mean, that's a damning allegation to make against a ruler of a foreign country, that they would actually care to reveal photos of the head of Amazon.
Was
and
Bezos at war with, the Bezos owns the Washington
Yeah.
Post. The king of Saudi Arabia had a reporter killed.
Khashoggi.
Yeah.
Khashoggi.
So now is Bezos trying to go to war with the? I mean,
Well, I saw, the reports are basically that there's a lot of Qatari money behind the Washington Post, and Qatar is at odds with Saudi.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to make the point that because Qatar is helping fund some projects that I guess they're dealing with, and maybe some, reporting, that the Saudi king was like, forget that, that's going against what I want, so I'm going to do this. But now we found out from the Wall Street Journal reporting that was the brother, basically, of this woman that he's dating who leaked it.
right. So the Wall Street Journal says they have evidence that Jeff Bezos' girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez, I think her name
Lauren
is,
Sanchez, yeah, that's right.
she sent private text messages that she had with Bezos to her brother, and her brother.
I don't know what.
I don't know. Yeah,
she must not really. What do they say? She's not loyal, man.
Yeah, but I guess they're still together. Bezos and her are still a couple, as everything would indicate. But yeah, she sent it to her brother for God knows what reason, and I guess he sold them, or he gave them or sold them to the National Enquirer.
Dude, what is happening? I mean, it's like who can you even try? I mean, look, I'm running. As probably everybody knows, I'm running for Congress in the 25th Congressional District, right? Katie Hill's old seat. And I've been very vocal about, I feel bad for what happened to her with this whole revenge porn. And
Right.
I think the husband's a psychopath for doing that. I mean,
Right.
kind of a nutcase, goes out. And I mean, we all have like some pretty revealing. Well, most of us, if you're in a serious relationship, you don't know what you're doing. You might send some photos, you might have videos, who knows, that you don't ever want out there because it's
Right.
kind of like a very private thing. And then you have these nutcases going out and revealing like nude photos. Why a newspaper would publish those, like, I don't know. But I mean, but then at the end of the day, like for him to take it to the extreme to accuse the Saudi king is just like the comical part.
I know.
That's why it's like so funny to me. It's like where are you coming up with this crazy stuff from? And,
Yeah, that was kind of out of left field. I was pretty surprised to see him do that.
Yeah. So well, I think we're gonna get to the bottom of it, and I guess the photos weren't really that revealing because no one even published them, right? I mean, I haven't seen them. Have you?
I haven't seen them either, but I think there were some. Let me see, Bezos photos.
It's not like the Anthony Weiner selfie in the mirror photo, is it? Because that went real viral, and that guy kind of fizzled out real.
Here's the Daily Mail is saying Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez landed in New York via helicopter on Sunday, attended a Broadway show together. The Amazon founder was spotted getting off a helicopter in a dark SUV. Let's see. They seemed to brush off the revelation that it was Sanchez who told her brother about the affair, who then sold the story to the National Enquirer, not the Saudis. Bezos has long pushed the suggestion that Saudi Arabia was involved in the Enquirer's source. Bezos' investigators indicated the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia sent malicious code in a WhatsApp message that compromised his cell phone.
It's incredible, though, man, how rich that guy has become, man. Like that's some serious power that guy has, and he owns the Washington Post, and it adds like a question of how does it set a dangerous precedent for like these plutocrats to own national global newspapers and to shape narratives based on their own outlook on the world? I don't know. I mean, I think it's a pretty scary thing to think about, that some very rich people in this world own media channels and newspapers, and depending on how they feel and what checks they're writing, they're going to force reporters to write what they want to be out there. Mm-hmm. What does that mean for free press? And is that the reason why people are resorting to YouTube videos and Twitter? And is that really fake news or not? I don't know. Or is that just real news? Is that just a different form of news that people call fake news because they want to maintain this monopoly on what is disseminated to the public? Me personally, Max, I think Twitter is a great platform. I think it gets news out there a lot quicker than even the breaking news, and there's no filter. Right. It's almost like Vice. Remember Vice News when it was really good back in the day?
Yeah.
I mean, that was so cool. Like I would watch that like 10 years ago. I don't know what Vice is doing now. I think it's become too mainstream. Mm-hmm. Because I think, like I just said, the owner got too rich.
Right.
Then his interest changed.
Right.
When it was like up and coming, it was like almost like handheld cameras, sending intrepid journalists into the war zones to talk about issues that no one ever talked about. And I thought that was really, really interesting.
Even in 2014, I remember that's how I found out about like ISIS. They sent a reporter like into the the caliphate that had just popped up, and I was like, oh my God, this is like seriously undercover on the ground, like, you know.
Do you remember that they had like 5 or 6 episodes of the formation of ISIS?
Yeah, and like the guy who was like the PR head of ISIS was like driving them around and giving them the whole lay of the land. I was like, this is unbelievable.
But then that's the question moving forward, is like, how do you organize that type of journalism, unfiltered journalism, without it getting too big and then manipulated? Because now Vice it's like on Showtime, I think.
Right,
it's
they took a lot of corporate money.
Very corporate.
Yeah, I think the crowdfunding, independent kind of fundraising that you can do right now with the internet is kind of a new frontier for independent journalists and for like actual interesting journalism to happen. And I think it's just, obviously in the extreme early days of all that.
And streaming too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. Like, we're in the 24-hour news cycle right now. Why would I want to wait till 9 o'clock at night to watch a 1-hour program, or 8 o'clock, or get out of work when I have my iPhone? Or like everybody has a smartphone today. I want to pull up a live stream of a journalist or somebody who's going in and reporting real stuff, whether it's a war zone, whether it's the homeless crisis. I mean, I would rather see that than wait for the filtered news that you're going to get on any of the channels out there today.
Yeah.
And that's why I think podcasts are so powerful too today. I think this is a brand new space. I'm very happy, we're coming into this at such a great time, I think, with so many other people are just launching their podcasts. I think it's becoming this really interesting community where we could all bounce ideas off one another, leverage each other's network, ideas, sources, and really maybe establish a new news cycle just based on our podcast. So I think things are changing really fast. I mean, I don't even know what the future of a TV is going to be at this point.
I know. They're saying that, I mean, CNN is not even getting 1 million viewers in their headline shows. They're getting like 500, 600,000 people, and the population's obviously getting a lot younger. Right.
We're all getting a little more tech savvy, and quite frankly, man, I get my news on Twitter and Facebook nowadays.
Yeah,
I don't wait for. I mean, I would have to literally be at home just sitting and bored to put on TV to watch the news today.
Yeah, I don't even have cable.
You and a lot of other people, man. But then also we got to make sure that our facts are right. We can't just like throw shit out there and make sure that it doesn't corroborate to reality. That's the only dangerous thing, and that's what we're doing on this podcast. We have the advantage here because most of this podcast is about the spy story and how that affects the impeachment and the Durham probe and the next election. Because let's face it, we've had 3 major investigations into my story, not just my story, but the whole spying scandal. We had the Muller probe, we had the Horowitz report, now we have the Durham probe, and impeachment, actually 4. And because I'm the only person on the face of the planet who really lived this story, no one could tell me what's fake and real, because I know what's real and what's fake. And 99% of what's been reported out there about the story has been all fake. So it was, our duty, I guess, to the American public and to all of our supporters and followers out there to really just tell the truth from my own words. And you who know me and you know the story and we're working together to really just get this out there in an unfiltered way, no holds barred, not caring about who's going to say what, and let people decide for themselves.
Absolutely.
So yeah. What else did we got?
Well, we asked our audience about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we asked our audience who they wanted to see you interview on the show.
What they say? I'm gonna hear these names.
Yeah, I think I'd love to see how you react to some of these names. So we've got, the top one with 10 likes was Bongino, and
Dan Bongino is a great guy, good friend of mine, personal friend. He definitely had a great understanding of my story. Clearly, not from an inside perspective, but he did a great job giving a very good overview of what was going on, especially when I couldn't talk. And he, most of his book.
You get a gag order on you, or what?
There was a gag order on me, yeah, for like 2 years. I couldn't talk.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, at that time, I was on my couch. This is like 2017, 2018, where I would have these bozos and clowns going on TV talking about me like they had any idea about who I was as a person. And secondly, about the story. That's why when the Muller testimony came out, Muller looked just like a sitting duck, like a deer caught in the headlight. He didn't even know what he was talking about.
No.
And I knew that the whole time. I said, when this guy testifies, there's nothing there. Because if the whole story went through me, and it was like this orchestrated setup that is now just being revealed, what is Mueller going to talk about on TV? But if you remember, people were riling up people, rallying people. It was all a conspiracy. It was the most watched thing on television for 2 years, Mueller. But if I was able to speak for those 2 years, I would have popped that balloon so quickly. But Dan, he did a good job. And I've been on his show. I think I was actually his first guest on his podcast last year, and we did another one. So I'd be very happy to bring Dan on. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. The second one is Nunes.
Devin Nunes, that's another guy that took a lot of crap where they were calling him a conspiracy theorist, a rogue congressman, up to no good. And, he had to grow, he had thick skin. I mean, he took the brunt of a lot of attacks against him. And, his congressional bid was at stake, too, based on backing the true narrative. And he came out a hero, in my opinion. I think he did a great service to this country, and I see great things coming out of him, not only as a congressman, but probably moving up even higher in politics. So I would love to have him on, too. We'll see how that can work out.
Dinesh DSouza.
Dinesh DSouza, another great guy. I'm happy to announce I'm going to be in his new movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What is the movie about?
His movie's coming out, and I think in the summer it's about socialism and surveillance and all these type of things. And I'm going to be in it. I'm very excited for that. Both Simona and I, we have a really interesting part in it. So Dinesh has been a great friend. He's retweeted me a lot regarding my congressional run. He retweets me all the time. Very smart guy. He went to prison too.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget it. When I was in there for 11 nights, I was reading his book.
Wow.
I was reading his freaking book before I even met the guy. And I was like, man, this guy got railroaded just like me. But he was just like a political opponent of the establishment. And anybody who was an opponent of that group, like we mentioned in our last episode about Burisma and these corrupt people, either they had the IRS sent against them or they had the feds against them. And he had a really sad story, and I think he had it a lot worse than me. He was in there for 8 months. But yeah, I would love to have him on too. Really great suggestions.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Simona. And
Simona would be great. I mean, Simona's...
You gotta get Simona in here. Another one is Svetlana Likova.
Svetlana Likova is a very interesting person because she's not really mainstream yet, like regarding this spy story. But I guess my fate and her fate and General Flynn's fate is all interlinked because we all had the unfortunate occasion or situation we found ourselves in to meet Stefan Halper, who was the spy at Cambridge. And Svetlana Likova, I guess, was some unwitting Russian student at Cambridge who Stefan Halper called a Russian spy who was sleeping with General Flynn and then got her under investigation. So she's out fighting, and I think she's been on Maria Bartiromo's show a couple times about this story. So yeah, I think that'd be a very interesting choice too. These are really great suggestions. Very, very pleased to see how informed people are.
Another one said, a Skype interview with Mifsud.
Well, Mifsud, people are speculating that the guy is dead. He's not dead.
Why were people speculating that?
Well,
just because we haven't heard from him?
We haven't heard from him. He's gone underground for 2 years.
Right.
I mean, this wasn't a random guy. This is a guy who was a fixture at a lot of State Department conferences in Europe. He was very close to the CIA, MI6, Italian government. He traveled to Russia too. And then all of a sudden, once my name comes out that he was associated, he goes underground for 2 years hiding. We later find out he was living in Rome next to the U.S. Embassy. Then apparently the Italian intelligence services moved him to a village in Italy where he's been hiding, and now they say he's dead. I don't think so. And the reason I don't think he's dead is because, let's not forget, A.G. Barr and John Durham traveled to Italy recently. And after they went to Italy and they were talking to the Italian government about Mifsud, Durham's probe evolved into a criminal matter. So they obviously got something on Mifsud. It's very sensitive. We're talking about the Italian government here, which is a close ally of the United States, and their operatives spying on me. He's going to come out. I mean, it's just a matter of time. He can't stay underground forever. So, but I don't think he's going to come on my podcast, unfortunately.
I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. No, I'm really happy to hear that. We'll work on Mifsud. Maybe we'll give him some CPR, see if we could get him back to life. We could dig him out of whatever hole he's hiding out of. Svetlana might be cool. I think she's in London. We could definitely try and do a Skype. Nunez and Bongino, definitely. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully John Solomon.
John Solomon, great guy. He's really been on the beat of this story. Probably the #1 journalist, I think, when it comes to uncovering not just my situation, but the whole situation. So I'm really happy to try and get him on. And, Dr. Drew wants to come on. Obviously, I'm dealing with homeless issues now and mental health issues as I'm running for Congress. And he's obviously not only a premier expert on those, but he's just a good person in general. And I'm really happy to have him on the show next month. So please send your questions either to @punchingbackpod or #punchingback. I'll see your questions. I will make sure I answer as many as I can possible during our Casual Friday show. And just, send anything. I mean, if you want to ask me personal questions, you want to ask me about Spygate, about Joseph Mifsud, General Flynn, Paul Manafort, Ukraine, and whatever it might be, I'm more than happy to answer all your questions, because this is really about you. Without you, there is no story. You are the reason I'm doing this. You have motivated me to get the truth out all across America. So I really want to make sure that I'm giving back to you. So please send me your questions. You might teach me something I don't know. I'd be more than happy to dig into something that you might float out there. I've been very pleasantly surprised in the past with people sending me interesting leads that I've followed up in, and I've it's really helped me understand my story even a lot more. So make sure you send them, and I'll be very happy to answer them all. Thanks.